Finally, a game that combines the old school fun of Rally X with one of my favorite 90s movies, Tremors. You know, that's the Kevin Bacon movie where a small town is menaced by a giant, man-eating worm just underneath the surface. Terrawurm manages to use the tension of being chased by a massive sandworm to spin out an addictive little arcade-style action game where the goal is to pick up as many precious gems as possible before getting gobbled up. It's fast and fun, but don't go in looking for a whole lot of depth. Terrawurm tells the story of the survivors of a future nuclear war who retreat to Pluto and fight over precious gems. They do this on a distant planet called Terra, which is the home to subterranean worms who are none too pleased that their peaceful planet is being stripped of their natural resources by a bunch of annoying humans. This sets up an exciting action game where we drive a space van around Terra's sandy surface, dodging worms and collecting precious gems. What makes this job a little harder is that the square level is constantly being filled up by large rocks. You can destroy these blocks by crashing through them, but it slows you down and leaves you open to becoming worm food. The idea is to dodge the rocks and continue picking up the gems. Of course, this gets harder and harder as the already small stage gets filled up with these annoying blocks. The good news is that there are a number of power-ups you can unlock as you play. One of the first ones you'll find will turn your van into a powerful drill, helping to clear some of the rocks out of the way. There are missiles and lasers that'll also get the job done. And if you want to get that worm off your butt, there's a bomb you can drop that'll stun it for a few seconds. Other power-ups are more about collecting the gems, such as a magnet that'll suck all of them towards you, and a score multiplier that'll allow you to double the intake for a short amount of time. You can also use the collected gems to buy upgrades to these power-ups, which, let's be honest, is how you're going to get the high scores. But don't think these power-ups give you a lot of breathing room, because these worms are always right behind you. No matter how quickly you race around the rocks or run to safety, it's always there. All it takes is hitting a few blocks or making a wrong turn and it's game over. The worm is aggressive, and about the best you can do is slow it down with one of those bombs. This is a fun theme that is great in short doses. It reminds me a lot of those old arcade games like Pac-Man and Rally X, only this time around the maze forms around you. The problem is that there isn't a whole lot to the game beyond collecting the gems and upgrading the power-ups. Every level essentially plays out the same way, and while there's no question that it's fun, it also only takes about an hour or two before it becomes repetitive. Part of the reason for this is because we're always driving around the same plot of land. I mean, it would have been nice to have a little more variety to the levels, even if the basic gameplay remained the same throughout. Tossing in a few more colors, different obstacles, and a couple new vans would have gone a long way to shake things up, but there's nothing like that here. About the most we get are a few single-run challenges like surviving for 5 minutes, destroying 100 blocks, hitting the worm with 5 bombs, and so on and so forth. These are fun, but not something I would specifically come back to complete. And that's basically where I am with Terrawurm. After completing a bunch of the challenges, fully upgrading the power-ups, and getting what I feel is a reasonably high score, I'm not sure there's much left for me to do. I guess what I can say is that I got a few hours of slightly repetitive fun out of the game, which isn't bad considering the $7 asking price. What I would love to see is this idea fleshed out with more levels and unlockables. Although a bit on the repetitive side, Terrawurm is basically Tremors meets Rally X. With a nasty sandworm constantly on your tail, racing around the block-filled levels leads to an action-packed time. The problem is there simply isn't enough content to keep the game interesting after an hour or two. I like the inexpensive price point and the fast-paced action, but wish Terrawurm had more content to play around with. Hey, thanks for watching our review. If you liked what you saw here, then you should know that we post new reviews and features almost every day. Now here's the question I have for you. What 1990s movie should have been an arcade game? I'm talking about any movie from the 1990s, not specifically a movie from the year 1990. I can't wait to see your picks in the comments below. In other news, I'm currently hard at work on a bunch of reviews, including Feather, Zombotron, Earth Defense Force, Iron Rain, and more. In the meantime, I strongly recommend you click that subscribe button and support what we're doing here. Until then.